What do you know? Big patch number 3 coming from UFL tomorrow. And having read through it, I will touch on a few things in particular that I think are great, but a couple of big problems here. The disconnect issue is not addressed in here. Now, it is still speculative whether A, it's a system issue, B, it's a cheater issue, right? A player issue. Or C, it's a combination where it's a UFL issue, but cheaters know how to take advantage of it, right? So I actually received a reply from UFL after they requested my videos, and they obviously expressed that those kind of players, they don't want them in the game, as we already know, but they could not tell me for sure if it even was 100% the players, 50% where maybe it was an issue, they just took advantage of it, or if it's totally the system, which the only reason, again, that's hard to believe is because it never happened one time when I was losing, only when I was winning and only when I scored a goal, right? When it was 0-0, never really had that problem. All of a sudden score a goal, well, there you go, starts disconnecting. So to think that it's the system, I would love to hear how that worked out just perfectly for only after I scored and only when I was winning, which would make it a great deal for any other player but me. So that's where it's hard to believe that it's a system thing. But either way, it's not addressed, and that's a huge thing. For example, in the past 2 showdowns alone, which both were on stream, I lost 11 wins, and that's just the stream, that's just the showdown. How many games I lost altogether, just every game that I played, whether it was divisions or showdown, oh my goodness, I don't even know the number. But as you can imagine, just using me as an example, many players aren't going to put up with that, so that's not addressed anywhere. That is a huge concern, right? Next, none of the bugs are addressed in here, right? You have a issue with a cross that's not supposed to be in the game that pretty much bugs out your players that many players are using to score. And then you have a sustained speed boost that's not supposed to be in the game. Now, if it is for some reason, it's a pretty crazy speed boost. Like I said, like you can literally take a 78 paced Virgil van Dijk and turn him into Mbappe sprinting from the back right up the field. Obviously, yes, tackles can be made on the player, so the Van Dijk running through everyone isn't necessarily the big issue that you have to worry about, but it is when there's a close duel or maybe a defender running down an attacker and they get a good angle, but then the angle is taken away. It's made irrelevant when that player uses L1 and R2 and just blows by any defender, any player it is. So none of that's addressed, which is a big concern because that L2 cross is a big way many people are scoring when they aren't earning it, right? Because there's nothing you can do to defend that if it's done well, right? And there's absolutely a skill in doing the perfect cheat cross, but the whole point is it's not even supposed to be in the game. There's absolutely skill in doing that L1 R2 sprint at the right time, but it's not supposed to be in the game. That's the whole point of this, is that we are currently using bugs as tactics. And hopefully you guys just can see the issue without me having to go into why it's an issue. If not, then I'm assuming you're probably part of the problem rather than part of someone trying to be a solution of making this game better. So with that being said, let's get into some of these details that are coming tomorrow. Again, it's 6 o'clock UTC as always, 2 hours as always. And let's get into first the gameplay. Pressing impact on stamina will be addressed. Stamina rebalancing will be addressed. Shot parameter will be addressed. The adjustment reparameterize, what a word, for flare shot and all header types. And the dribbling power fix, which will fix ball power issues during dribbling, particularly after ball reception. Okay? Now, with passing, you got a button press influence. So they refine the impact of button press hold duration on ball speed for through passes, ground passes, and powerful ground passes, which means this could finally improve. I'm not saying fix, but improve through balls, right? The problem with through balls is one would be weighted perfectly. Well done, great job. The next one would be just a tap, a real fine, soft through ball, but it would go, 80 meters away, and you literally just tap the button. There's no rhyme or reason for it. There's no way to kind of master it. And then even in situations where you wanted to use a through ball, many times you were scared to because you just didn't know what it was going to. It was like roulette. You didn't know what kind of through ball you're going to get out of it. So that will address that, hopefully fix it all together, but you can't say for certain, right? Many times in these updates or these notes that they give you, they speak vaguely, and you have to kind of put together these different fixes, right? And put them together with different bugs or whatever that are going on. Whereas I wish they would just explain to you, like, this addresses the through ball issue. This addresses, the speed boost issue. I wish they'd be a little more direct with it, but they aren't. So, one-touch pass, reparameterization. Again, what a word. Adjusted parameters for one-touch passes. Same thing. The one-touch passes, the speed of which we're off all the time, that should fix it. We will see. And then aerial pass reception. Resolved errors in ball reception during aerial passes. So basically, the passing that was driving many people crazy, that was off when it didn't need to be. Just the most simple of passes, couldn't be connected for a variety of reasons. This addresses that more towards the power aspect of the pass, right? Passes that were way overweighted or way underweighted, hopefully now they're just right. That would be the perfect case, right? We will see. Moving on to goalkeepers. The own goal fix. We fixed cases where goalkeepers couldn't handle the ball in their penalty area after receiving it, regardless of how it was received. All right? Not sure on that one. If I have experienced it, this wording kind of messes it up. Again, this is where I'd wish they would be more particular. But goalkeepers couldn't handle the ball in their penalty area after receiving it, regardless of how it was received. Who knows? Oh, you know what? The own goal fix, it doesn't sound like it at all. I'm just guessing here, but not based on saying own goal fix, because this isn't an own goal at all, but where it says couldn't handle the ball in their penalty area no matter how it was received, reminds me of potentially being the glitch where the ball would come into the box and the goalie would just stand there, and even though he could have easily beat the striker to it, picked it up and should have, he would just stand there, forget he was in a game, and the striker would run up and just nail it by him into the net. Maybe that's the fix. Again, it wasn't an own goal, so I don't know. But the wording kind of matches that. Hand through ball bug fix. Resolved instances of balls passing through the goalkeeper's hands. Okay. Probably experienced that a few times. I don't know. The one that comes to mind is where the goalie just freezes and doesn't do anything, and then the one where the ball comes, the goalie easily should cover the ball up, but instead just stands there while the attacker finishes the ball off. Improved responsiveness. Reduce the number of cases where the goalkeeper fails to react to a shot or pass. Okay, that's what we just talked about. Hopefully that fixes it, right? That's a big issue. But it doesn't say eliminated, it says reduce the number of cases where the goalkeeper fails to react to a shot or pass. So it looks like if they put that wording in there, that must mean that they're expecting us to still deal with some of that, where the goalie just doesn't react, stands there while the ball goes by him. So that's great, but at least reduce is better than nothing, right? Now, moving up to the top, because I feel like I didn't go into it in enough detail, and then after that we'll get down to defense. Going back up to the gameplay, pressing impact on stamina, so introduce the effective pressing modes on stamina consumption, which means that your players will get more tired from pressing, from like press after possession loss, press on heavy touch, similar to what FC has, right? Sounds like the stamina just wasn't going down enough for pressing teams. Stamina rebalancing. Stamina usage has been rebalanced across all gameplay actions. Alright, we'll see what's up with that. Shot parameter adjustment, we talked about that. Dribbling power, fixed ball power issues during dribbling, particularly after reception. We talked about that. Okay. Now moving back down to defense. I just was going to skim through this, and then once I went through more detail and everything else, I figured I'd go back up and go into detail on those deals too. So defense, aerial dual logic, improved aerial dual mechanics. Defensive players gain an advantage in their penalty area unless there's a significant height difference. Okay, defensive players gain advantage unless there's, a significant height difference. I don't really like that though, because what that means now is instead of the attacking player always winning everything, right? Now the defensive player will essentially win everything unless you go get like a huge player, unless you have a real short center back. So now what? We're going to buy players off of height? Improved aerial dual mechanics. Defensive players gain an advantage in their penalty area unless a significant height difference. Guys, you realize that means that players aren't going to buy players anymore based on statistics or anything. They're going to buy defenders based on height, and then attackers, if they want to score headers, still they're going to try to buy the tallest strikers or wingers. I mean, this sounds ridiculous. Please say there's something I'm missing there. Are we really going to turn this into go buy this tall player and that tall player and forget about the quality, the skill of the player as far as heading accuracy and all that? That's insane to just say in the area, defenders gain an advantage. So basically no more corner kicks, which I agree that some of the crazy methods to score are ridiculous, but corner kicks are part of the game. FC has found a perfect way to do it. It's not like you can't do it right. It's just you got to make it more balanced. You definitely don't want to say defenders gain the advantage no matter what in their area, unless there's a big height difference, aka go buy a super tall striker and maybe you can still win headers. And if you want to avoid that, just buy only super tall defenders. Okay, so that's crazy. Corner kick interception. Improved defensive player reactions to head deflections during corners in their penalty area. Okay, so we already know what that is. The corner flick on. So finally, how that skipped the last patch, I have no idea. But that is insane to me that it took up to patch number 3 to hopefully get the corner flick out. Player stability. Players are now more stable when tackled. Okay. Fouls and cards, passive tackles resulting in fouls will no longer be penalized with yellow cards. Okay. Now the last chance situation. This is where you would see the halftime and you're like, 50 minutes, how the heck? And it would just keep going and going. Sometimes it seemed like literally it was giving your opponent however long they needed to score. So that was essentially fixed, is what they're saying, without going into all that. Now the match or halftime or the end of the match or even halftime shouldn't be that drawn out, basically. Now, AI pressing. Team pressing efficiency. Overall team pressing effectiveness has now been improved, allowing teams to apply greater pressure on opponents and reduce their decision-making time. This could help with, ding, 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 passing the ball around the back and holding on to leads, which, again, that should have been addressed much earlier than this, but at least better late than never, right? Pressing activation. Decreased delay for pressing activation after transitioning to defense, meaning once your team loses the ball or moves on to defense, there'll be less of a delay. Your players will more quickly, more immediately start pressing the opposition to get the ball back. Okay, which is much more realistic, so that's good. We'll have to see how it plays out in game, because we all know that pressing absolutely can cause issues if it's not done right. So we will have to see how all this plays out in game. Field awareness. Players now take better account of the field situation, reducing unnecessary opponent passes. All right? Players now take better account of the field situation, reducing unnecessary opponent passes. We will see how that looks. Defensive line participation. Defensive line players are now more involved in pressing and frequently close down opponents. All right. So they're more involved in pressing the defense now. Again, all the pressing stuff, we have to just see how it plays out in game. It either can be done very right or it can make things into way bigger issues. We will see. Corner kicks. Attacking team adjustment. Reduce the number of attacking players inside the penalty area during corner kicks. All right. Interesting. I'm assuming that will help fix the flick-ons and some of the kind of glitchy corner methods, right? defensive marking. Defensive players inside the penalty area are now staying closer to their opponents. Okay, so they're going to mark their opponents tighter. We will see, though, because you can still manually change to a player and kind of make pretty quick movements. It can be hard. Obviously, you can mark that player moving around, with your own user control player. So what I said is irrelevant, except for the earlier part where it said defenders will now win corners in their penalty area except for huge height advantages. So really, if that's the case, based on the wording, none of this really matters because the defender is going to win it unless you can just dunk on them with a way taller player offensively. Again, I'm hoping there's something more to it. Maybe the wording doesn't explain it all. Now moving to the bot, new difficulty level, hard, which is good for practicing in the offline mode against AI. So that's a good thing, right? Dribbling rebalance, rework bot dribbling across all difficulty levels to meet expected skill levels. That just they're just basically increasing AI, which again is a good thing. Sometimes it can be very, very useful to practice offline, but if you're literally going against cones, it's not as helpful. So that's good. Attacking behavior, improved offensive behavior. Situational ball control. Bots now retain the ball more frequently. Okay. Pass accuracy. Bot passes are now more precise. Okay, basically a bunch of improvements to the bots, to the AI. So that's good. Defensive behavior. Enhanced reaction. Again, same thing. Just a ton of improvements to the bots are the last little chunk of this. And like I said earlier, the main thing that I don't like about this is there's nothing about the disconnect issue, no explanation for it, which means that players who are missing out on wins, who are getting disconnects game after game, winning, or maybe some people are doing it when they're tying, or maybe other people are experiencing when losing. Who knows? But either way, it's annoying. It needed to be addressed, and it's not addressed at all. And, of course, nothing on this sprint boost or sprint cheat, whatever you want to call it, and nothing on the L2 cross glitchy nonsense cheat that's going on, where basically your defenders and goalkeeper bug out, and the attacker many times is able to chest it down and finish uncontested. Again, there's like a skill to doing these cheats, right? It's not like they're the easiest thing to do, but it doesn't matter. The fact that we're using bugs as skills or / tactics or whatever is crazy, and the fact that they didn't address it all is alarming to me. That is my take on this. That is my first read of this patch. I will give it a go and see how it works, but after the first patch, I stopped with my overwhelming optimism, right? Just because I feel like it bit me after that first patch. The second patch, we seen the result. There's just a lot more issues that arose after the second patch, so I'm truly hoping that's not the case here. However, we will see, after the patch is released. Probably we'll need a few days, though, because if you remember, after both patches, the initial gameplay is just first testing out the main things that you wanted to see patched and that they talked about, right? And then you see that those are gone and you're excited, right? And then, like, for example, last patch, I went into that showdown, and it was a lot of good football. We were super excited. No more L1 triangle. We dominated playing regular football. And then you saw these glimpses of things to come. The disconnect issues really prevailed on that showdown. And then, worse than that was this sprint and L2 bug situation that, again, have turned into tactics. But that takes a little bit of time for these glitchers and cheats, whatever you want to call them, to kind of figure out these exploits, right? So we will see. Maybe not exactly tomorrow after the patch. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we can still give it an initial grade after the right after the release of this patch. Give it an initial grade, and then see how it goes. In 2 days, 3 days, 4 days after all the cancerous glitch players come out of the woodwork and try to ruin the game once more. So only time will tell. To all of you that will continue to play up to the patch and after, keep grinding, keep having fun. For everybody who's waiting or playing another football game, you as well. Keep grinding, keep having fun. I will be on later. Almost 100% will be FC. I will give this patch a go once it does come out, but we're almost for certain going to have some rivals. We definitely will have to finish our draft. We have a heck of a draft in FC right now. And obviously we will definitely, don't know the exact time yet, but we will definitely get into pro clubs. All of this will get more centralized around a schedule as I go. I definitely don't want to be in the passenger seat bumping around, crazy work truck, making noises and all this stuff, kind of sidetracked as I'm going. But I do appreciate you guys for still watching. Sorry, as I said, it is kind of tough to do this, but at the same time, the knowledge is there, the information is there. You get the picture with what I'm going for. So I will see you guys later. Keep grinding, keep having fun, and until next time.